Hello and welcome. In this video, we will be evaluating 3 sources of information to evaluate their validity. By the end of this video, learners will understand validity in information sources. Let's examine validity in the context of 3 examples. The first example we have is a study that was conducted about psychological responses and associated factors in China during the COVID-19 pandemic. The authors of this study generalized the survey data to all members of China. However, if we scroll down to the socio-demographic variables and psychological impact section, we can see that over 67% of the respondents were women. We can also look at the table for demographics and see that a large portion of the respondents were married and lived in a household size of 3 to 5 people. The vast majority were also either a student or employed at the time of the survey. The sample demographic, while on the larger scale, is so disproportionate that it is not a very valid study for what they are trying to accomplish. The second example we have here is a study of brain matter in fathers. Looking at the methods section, we can see that the study was well done. It set up a variety of control factors such as the time of day samples were taken. However, we can see in the discussions that the authors identify that they had a small sample size and some of the data collection was interrupted for some participants due to COVID-19. This particular study is an example of one where the science looks promising, but as the authors themselves state, it should be considered more of a speculative possibility. This article is an example of one that would be okay to use if it was contextualized in a paper properly. Lastly, we'll take a look at this example. Here we see a report from the Pew Research Center on Americans' views on scientists. If we scroll to the section How We Did This, we can see that they surveyed over 8,000 adults. If we dig a little deeper and check out the ATP's methodology, we can see that they aim to get a representative sampling of the U.S. adult population. This means that our sample is both large and diverse. We can further dive into the methodology to determine that this study is a great example of validity. Surveys can sometimes have bias in them, as often people are self-selecting to participate in a survey and may have strong opinions that they want to share on the survey topic. It is important to remember that bias in general, but this example is good because it has such a large survey pool that it helps negate that bias. Validity can be complicated and tricky to examine in articles, especially if you are unfamiliar with relevant terminology and how studies are typically conducted in that particular discipline. Don't fear. Take a moment to think about how the study is conducted. Think about how easily the results could be replicated. Think if there are areas like socioeconomic status that aren't discussed or controlled for in the study. Some studies may be small in sample size or not very diverse. Whether you use them in your paper depends on the context of how you are using it. Identifying some of the weaknesses of the study through discussion in your paper is important and can help strengthen your own argument. Thank you for watching this video. If you have more questions, please reach out to us at the library.